It's Monday. It's 8 p.m. What else could it be than Monday Assessment?
Your people gather round your town when things are on the up or things are falling down. Celebrate the hard times, stay passionate through the lows, find strength in the chaos, no matter which way it goes. It's not easy being blue. Heartbreak comes in many ways, the hardest times, the darkest days, but all these things get washed away with us, with us. The highs might not come every day, but memories do, and memories stay. Enjoy that moment anyway with us, with us, with us. It's not easy being blue. It's not easy being blue.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's Monday Assessment, brought to you by the View from the Medway Fancast, in partnership with Gillingham FC Supporters Club, Her Game 2, Sports Social Podcast Network, and sponsored by Wicked Creative and Snodhurst Used Cars Sales and Service Station. In a week where I returned from my holiday, two teams came to Priestfield with 100% records and left without 100% records. So we will delve into both of those games tonight for you. Evening, everyone.
Evening.
How are we all doing?
Pretty good. Still buzzing.
Good. Right. Before we start with the Views news, just want to mention the Chesterfield owner who's sadly passed away today, as we're going to be discussing that game as the first topic. So just wanted to send our condolences from the View to the Medway to everyone at Chesterfield and obviously the family of Phil Kirk. So Tuesday night, we were under the lights. Chesterfield came top of the league, 100% record, and Gillingham scored 4 goals. Luke, start with you first, mate. What were your thoughts of the game, and was there any standout performances or anything that caught your eye?
I think good evening, everyone. First, so Tuesday was, I think, caught a lot of us by surprise, if I'm being honest. I think something that we've lacked, especially over the last 2 years, is that we hardly ever press. And if we did press, say for instance last season, it was Elliot Nevitt on his own. But with a fit Josh Andrews, Armani Little and Ethan Coleman kind of bossing the midfield, we press as a unit. And I don't think Chesterfield expects us to play in that sort of way either, where I think it was the best Josh Andrews performance we've seen since he signed. Defence looked rock solid. Chesterfield played some pretty football, and it was like 72% possession they had, but you don't win games of football on how much possession you've got. You win about how many times you put the ball in there. And we had double the amount of shots that they did and scored 3 more goals than they did. And that's all that really matters. But it was a really positive step, especially considering, and I've even got them in my outright bet that I think they'll be in the top 3. But it was a really good performance,
And John, our new left back, got into the side due to suspension, scored an unbelievable goal. Again, what did you make of Lenny's performance, especially against Chesterfield? Does Max Clark come back in pretty quickly, or do you think he's got to earn his place back? And also your thoughts on the whole game against Chesterfield.
First of all, regarding Lenny, obviously, I mean, what a way to score a goal like that. It was classic direct goal, but to take the ball, to hold on, show that strength with them defenders and to put it away. And it was a real confident finish as well. He just put his foot through it. He knew he was scoring. The minute he hit that ball, he knew he was scoring. It was really confident. It's lovely to see for such a young boy as well. And I think now, what with Saturday's game as well, he was solid. I mean, he showed some good stuff going forward. Max has got to get the shirt back off of him, hasn't he? I think now he's got that shirt, it's going to be difficult to take it off of him because he's not doing much wrong. He may not be physically the strongest. We saw a couple of times he was knocked off the ball defensively. One of them times was when it led to the open goal being missed by Crewe. It was a blatant foul, but he was knocked off the ball quite easily. But yeah, I think he's got the shirt now, and unless something changes, let's see what else he produces. As for the Chesterfield game overall, what a night. What a night. It was just so nice to have one of those Gillingham under the floodlights nights where everything's going right, where the crowd are behind the team. People will say one penalty was soft, maybe two. I don't really care. The amount of penalties we should have had that we haven't been given over the last couple of seasons, that's karma coming back to us. Little put them away confidently, and you could just see the confidence going throughout the team. And seeing Gillingham play like that, seeing that noise in the ground, if you could bottle that, you'd be a rich man, I'll tell you, because it was amazing.
On the penalties there, John, I saw from the Chesterfield press conference that they'd heard from the league and said that both penalties shouldn't have been penalties. What are your thoughts on the league going to teams saying that? Do you think they should bother? Does it matter? It gives Chesterfield an excuse when if it happened to the Gills, I don't think I would want them saying, "Oh yeah, we've made two mistakes in that game," because it would just annoy you even more.
No, because going to it, what does it achieve? You don't replay the game, you don't chalk the goals off, you don't change the result. So all it does is give someone something to cry about and go, "Oh, but it's what about it? The game's done, the points have been given. It's the pointless exercise. Move on."
Completely agree. Bex, welcome to the Fancast.
Thank you.
What were your thoughts of Tuesday night? And what did you make of, I know Luke mentioned them, of the Andrews and Nevitt partnership up front and what you've seen from it so far?
I think Andrews has been a revelation so far this season. I was one of the few, I think, last season who was saying this is a good player. I know we had a lot of critics last season, but seeing him fit this year, he causes problems up front. He might not be putting lots of goals in the net himself, but what he is doing is causing problems for defenders, which is letting the likes of Nev and, in our case, all the defenders get in and score the goals, which is fantastic. I don't care who scores them as long as they go in. So, yeah, I think we definitely play better with the front two. I don't think Nev looks so isolated. I would like to see Nev get in amongst the goals going forward, but what a night Tuesday was. It was brilliant, you know. Going back to the point about whether the penalty was good, where I was in the rain meant, it absolutely looked like the one on Nev was a pen. Clear cut as far as I'm concerned. The Andrews one, not quite so sure. I think that was a 50-50, but hey, if the Chesterfield fans want to be a bit salty, then crack on.
Too right. And no, I have to agree. From where I was sitting literally a block away from the Andrews penalty, it did look soft. But I think, like John said, that they come and go, don't they, these decisions? I'm sure there'll be some, and there probably have been some that we haven't got since then. And I'm sure over the season, as I say, it does even out. Whether it does, I'm not 100% sure. We'll move on to the next one. So Gareth and Dobbo's influence. I'll come to you first, John, on this one. We did a podcast towards the back end of the season. I think Luke might have even been on this one, where we were discussing players that we would keep, players we would release, and there wasn't many that we were going to keep. And I think a shock came at the end of the season to most Gills fans when the majority of the squad was kept. What have they done with this squad that the past managers have not been able to do?
I think they've got everyone unified. You can see the group are really sort of close together. You can really sort of see that tightness between them, and there's a feel-good factor around the club as well. I mean, Gareth, he's renowned as being a good man manager. It's something that other sort of players have said about him throughout his managerial career, and it's just brought a positive mentality to the club. And when you've got that around the place, that's going to filter through to the players. They all want to play for him. They're all giving everything for him. And I was lucky enough to go and see the boys train a couple of weeks ago. And the energy and the excitement in that training session was amazing. The players were absolutely giving everything. And when the youth players finished and came over, they were all sort of chatting with Gareth and Dobbo. There's just such a sort of good feeling about the place. I mean, I say in training, the effort that was going in was unbelievable. It was almost like match tempo. And it just seems like everyone wants to give 100%. Whereas before, there would have been accusations under Mark, obviously under Coleman, that there were certain players who weren't giving their all. I think that's a fair assumption. But now everyone seems committed to the cause. I don't think there's a player who will come out on the first 11 or on the bench who's not 100% wanting to be there and give absolutely everything on that pitch for the shirt. And that's the manager's influence. He's got everyone just so up for it.
And when you're at the training session, who does the training session?
Gareth's taking a lot of it himself. You've got Dobbo taking it as well. They get really involved. Gareth's not one just to stand there and do nothing. He's very, very active with the boys when they're training, giving out pointers and things like that. So he's not one of the managers who sits back and lets the other coaches do it. He's literally involved in everything. And I think that's part of the reason things are so good. It is a unit. It is a close team, from the youth team to the first team. The coaches, the management, everybody seems to be pulling in this same direction together, and that makes a difference.
And to you, Bex, obviously you mentioned that you sit in the Rainham end. Obviously, the last two games, I actually think the noise in the Rainham end's been the loudest that I've heard it from where I sit in the Medway stand for a long, long time. Do you think a lot of that is down to these two guys? Because from what I see, I don't think we're going to be a team that plays a lot of pretty football. So to get fans motivated, they've got to do something, and that they clearly are, because the noise from like I said, the Rainham end has been ridiculous the last couple of games. Can they keep it up?
Yeah, I think they can keep it up. I mean, I've definitely gone home the last two games with a sore throat, and I think a lot of the Rainham men probably feel the same way. I think Gareth and Dobbo have worked together for a long time. I think it's 13 years or something, and I think that does make a difference, because Dobbo knows exactly what Gareth wants from him, and he can relay that. I think Gareth's been really clear in his interviews that it's not just about the two of them. You know, he's talked about Darren helping with the defensive set pieces and those sorts of things. And it makes a huge difference, because he's not just expecting the players to deliver, he's expecting everyone at Gills to deliver. And that includes the fans, that includes the shop staff, the kiosks. He wants everyone on board. And whether you're in the factory, whether you're in the shop, you can feel that positivity. And it rubs off. And I think the truth is the players are going to play better when the fans are behind them, and the fans believe in Gareth. So it all stems from him, really.
And Luke, to you, I've never known so many Gills players going down with cramp as I have in the last couple of games. Do you think, especially Josh Andrews looks physically shattered by the time he normally gets substituted? Do you think the players are going to be able to keep up with the demands of Gareth and Dobbo?
Yeah, I think Josh was just itching to get off on Saturday when he went down with cramp and a bit of the dark arts coming in there. But I say the good thing is, and I'll go back to like the previous point, is kind of with Gareth and Dobbo, is that if you go back to when we appointed Clements and he was asked what the Gillingham identity is, let's be honest, he didn't have a clue. And he didn't understand what the Gillingham fan base stands for, or put it bluntly, what the club has stand for a very long time. And that's hard work, giving everything on the pitch. We don't play the best football. We don't expect to win every single game. We don't expect to be winning trophies every single year, but a minimum expectation of effort is required from us. And if we see that, there's not, you don't see us getting, on people's backs and such forth. But I think Gareth, very much like Neil Harris, he kind of gets what the club is, where it's going, and he gets the fan base. And emptying the tank, as he says so many times, is all we want to see. If you lose, like say for instance Saturday, if we lost the game 1-0, or it was a 0-0, but they've given everything, you can't really get on their back too much. But obviously having a last minute winner is even better. But I think he just gets it. And I think that's why, hopefully, I was just a little bit disappointed that the attendance was only 6,100 on Saturday. I know it's very early in the season, but I was at least expecting 6,500, 7,000. If we can continue in this vein or form that we're in, I think the next home game we'll see a lot. But going back to them two, they get what we want to see. And obviously, it can be a very toxic place, as we've seen over the last couple of years when it's been going really badly. But when it's going good and you've got a manager that we all believe in, it's a horrible place to come. And I hope that continues.
And that was
For me, sorry, John.
I was saying about Gareth and the fans and what the fans were. Funnily enough, when he first came to the club and was bumping into fans, he would like say to fans, "What do you like to see?
Yeah.
What do you like to see on the pitch?" and stuff like that. So it's just that engagement, and it endears people to the guy, and people will be that little bit more patient as well. Yeah. And I think it's starting to sort of come home now as well, and it's great to see the crowd as loud as they've been.
For me, I always think it's little things as well. Like when we do the last waltz at the start, Gareth always claps it at the end. When the Rainer men cheer him, he's very passionate, trying to get the crowd up and going. He does. I think like Luke said, I think he gets it, and he does have that personality as well that's quite infectious to fans. And I think we've took to him, and he's took to us. So far, it's looking good.
I'd just add to that. I think the fans like it as well, where whenever one of the players takes a header or kicks the ball, Gareth's there on the touchline and he's headering the ball and he's kicking the ball, and that's good to see.
As long as he keeps playing with his hair all the time as well, you can tell he's getting into it, isn't he? So the last topic, for those that weren't at the game that were watching and didn't see it, it looked like towards the end, Joe Bode, who didn't come on as sub against Chesterfield, made several attempts to get straight down the tunnel rather than go and salute the stands with the rest of the team. And there were several members of staff, several players trying to encourage him to go back. He went back for a minute and then snuck off, and then come Saturday wasn't in the squad. Obviously, he's been rumoured to be under interest from Luton Town, and I think there's another team potentially in for him. I'll start with you, Bex. Did you like what you saw, if you saw it? And what do you think this means for Joe? Because when he was at the game Saturday, it didn't look like he was limping or injured. So I do think he may have had a telling off.
I didn't see it live at the time, but obviously I spoke to people afterwards who had seen it. And I think what we saw was a young player getting his ego brought back in line. Did he react the right way? No. Was he right to go on X afterwards and apologise? Absolutely. Whether he was told to or whether that's off his own back, I think the apology was right. My feeling is probably that Gareth said, right, well, your reward for not being part of the team is that you're not part of the team. And I personally, I'd like to see him learn from that. I think he's got a lot to offer. And I think when you get a bigger club, not that I think Luton are a bigger club than us, it's Luton. But when you get another club coming in for you, I think that does inflate your ego a little bit. And actually, this might help him longer term. As for whether he goes, I know that Luton have signed a couple of forwards. They signed Yates from Swansea, I think his name is, and someone from Bristol City. But they'd said all along they were looking at Joe longer term. So whether we keep him for a year and he goes next year, I don't know. But I think he needs to earn his way back into the fans' trust and Gareth's trust. And I think when he does that, we need to give him a fair shot.
And John, does it not just show that he cares?
It's a difficult one for me with Joe because he's still a young boy. So there's a lot going on, and I'm personally very sympathetic to his predicament. He's here at Gillingham. I don't know what he earns. It's rumoured that a club are coming in for him. They're going to pay a big fee for the level, and they're probably dangling this nice big wage packet in front of him that's going to mean he's on a lot more money. He'll get a big signing on bonus. There's an agent in the background who wants their commission for the deal. It's a lot of mental pressure for a young lad, and I'm going to say let's just give him a bit of a free pass and be a bit sympathetic for him, because it can't be an easy situation to be in. He clearly loves playing for the club. He's put a lot of effort in for the club. We've seen that. And it's a shame to see it like that, just trying to walk off, but then you really don't know what's going on in his head, who's in his ear saying this, saying that. I wouldn't want to be in that situation myself, and I wouldn't know what to do in that situation myself. So I'm saying let's just give him a bit of breathing space on it.
And Luke, do you think that if you were Joe, the only attacking forward player that's scored for us so far, could potentially be looking at Andrews, Nevitt, thinking I should be playing ahead of these guys? Or is it a bit like what John said, it's a young guy and he should know better? Because I've said something today.
It's not the first time that he's had his ears felt, though, is it? Obviously, there were 3 players that were left out of the squad when John Coleman was manager. And he walked down the tunnel against Wimbledon and didn't watch the penalties either. I don't know if many people saw that. I don't know. He might have needed the toilet, but he was very quickly to head down the tunnel against Wimbledon. So it's a difficult one. I think some of the rumours that he can't be on that much money here, and Luton have probably he's going to be offering probably 5 times his salary than what he's on here. And I think he's just I know he put that tweet out, so it's not his tone of character and stuff, but I find that a little bit hard to believe. When if it was his first offence, then yeah, rightly so, but it's not. And I think Ainsworth has knocked him down a peg or two, and said that because if you've got to think about how he wants to work with a small squad, and you can't have players that aren't built into this awful team all together and have the same mentality if someone's sulking. And where we're such a small club, everybody, and the problem we've got nowadays, everybody videos everything. So you're not going to be able to, years ago, you'd probably be able to get away with it, but now you can't. But let's see how he reacts over the next couple of weeks. If he gets back in the squad and does his grafting training, then he's sorted his attitude out. If he's still sitting behind the bench, then we know there's a deeper issue there. But like I say, it's not his first offence. I don't think he can get off too lightly.
So I'll ask the same question to all 3 of you. With 1 week of the transfer window to go, will Joe Bode be a Gillingham player at the end of it? Bex?
I think yes. I think he will stay, but probably not after January.
John?
It's got to be the right deal for the club. And I think if it's not the right deal for the club, he'll still be a Gillingham player.
And Luke?
I think the ship has sailed and we should have took the money.
You don't think Luke will come back in?
I think he'll stay. I don't think Luke will come back in. I think we should have took the money if we kind of believe in what the £500,000 mark for a person that scored 3 career league goals. I would have taken the money.
Yeah, I think we're all no come 2 o'clock Saturday. If he's not in the squad, then I think people will start talking. If he's in the squad, then I think that will say everything, because I can't imagine that he'd go if he's in the squad come Saturday. Cool. We will move on. So some facts on Crewe, who were our visitors at the weekend. The club were founded in 1877. They were nicknamed the Railwaymen due to the town's connections to the railway industry, and the club were named after Princess Alexandra of Denmark. So this is how we lined up. We lined up with Glenn Morris in goal, a back 3 of Smith, McKenzie, Gale, wing backs Hutton and Cirino, with Coleman, Dack and Little in the middle of the park, with Andrews and Nevitt up front. Obviously, the big talking point of that weekend was Bode not being in the squad. I'll start with you, Bex, on this one. What did you make of the lineup, and was there any shocks?
I don't think there were any shocks. I think it's probably fairly similar to how I would have lined them up, although I think it works better when we start with Johnny Williams. I think he comes on at the start. We've got a lot of energy going that tires them out, and then we bring Dack on for impact. I don't think it worked as well the other way round. Other than that, that's probably how I would have lined them up, to be fair.
And Luke, have we accidentally stumbled across something through injuries to Masterson and Ogie, with Mackenzie dropping into the back 3 and an Ethan Coleman that I think we saw 2 years ago playing like this, not the Ethan Coleman that didn't play much like that last year due to injuries? What have your thoughts been of Robbie Mackenzie? Obviously made his 200th appearance. It seems to be undroppable at the moment.
Yeah, he can play anywhere. I think he's even played up front for us once under Steve Evans, if I remember rightly. But he's been quality, and I think going back to what you're saying about Gal, McKenzie, and Smith. I didn't really rate Smith that much when he came back, when we had him on loan last season, but he's been absolutely outstanding. Doesn't lose a header. I think Robbie McKenzie gives both Gal and Smith that little bit of maturity in the back, which is mad because that average age of that back line is still really, really young. And yeah, they've been phenomenal. I think we're not doing too badly considering the two more senior centre backs are out injured, and like I say, we've only conceded one goal against two of the teams tipped for promotion. So yeah, I think it's going well, and I'll keep that shape. I think we found a way of playing that again we don't. It's not necessarily pretty at all. But as we've spoken about earlier, they won't give up until the end. And I think that comes from the back, not giving up, not getting carved open. We haven't been carved open by anyone yet. And that's really impressive to see.
And John, Luke's just mentioned something I was going to ask you, but I will ask you anyway, +1. Do you think now that this is our formation moving forward? And how long does Gareth wait for the front pair to kick into gear before potentially bringing Vokes into the team? And obviously we're still waiting for Seb Palmer-Holden to come back because, as I said previously, we've only had one goal so far from a forward player. And as I was sent a stat today on Nevitt, has played 41 times for Gillingham and scored 4 goals. Obviously, it's not great. A lot of those 41 would have been starts as well, because every manager seems to pick him. And I don't think Gills fans will ever fault his effort. But when do we have to give up on effort for output?
In terms of the actual sort of formation, I think it works really well. I'll be happy to stick with that. I'll allude to what Beck said about having Johnny Williams in place of Dak at the start. There's a lot to be said for that because Johnny Williams is just an absolute ball of energy. But then there's also, is he better off coming on as a sub when the other team are tired? So you can look at both sides of that coin. In terms of the front line, I really feel for Nevitt because he is one of those players. He's such an honest professional. He tries and he tries and he tries and he tries. You could not get a more committed player on that pitch. And I'd love him just to get a goal. I'd love to want to just scuff off his arse into the bottom corner, a P roller or whatever, just to get him some confidence because he's scored goals before. He knows where the goal is. So I'd just love to see him get a bit of confidence and start scoring some goals. Obviously, Seb, he's a little way to come. He was still limping when we saw him at the weekend, so he's not ready to come back yet. Vokes, again, coming back from injury. I think he'll be an important player as the season pans out, Sam Vokes, both on the pitch and off the pitch, because what a player with what a career to have mentoring those players. You've got Johnny Williams, massive international career, really successful international footballer, the same with Vokes. So to have those guys there around the squad's fantastic. So yeah, Vokes will be important on the pitch and off it because he will score goals, Vokes, without a doubt about it. He will score goals this season.
Completely agree. So we will now move on to the game itself. As I said at the start, another team turned up top of the league, 100% record, and left with nothing. For me, I actually thought this game was obviously didn't have the goals of the Tuesday game, but I actually really, really enjoyed this game. I thought it was two really good teams going at it. And I think first half, Crewe were better than us, in my opinion, first half. The second half, there was only one team in it for me, and that was us. Obviously, the woodwork was hit several times, and Sam Gale finally got his goal after a season and a half of trying, nearly scoring a perfectly good goal at the back end of last season that was disallowed. And it was just so nice to see after, I believe his nan, I think, passed away a week or so ago. And yeah, it was really, really nice. You could just see the emotion on his face, what it meant to him. And I think his parents were down in the Medway stand after the game, and I think he went and saw them. And I think it gets said a lot. It's a perfect Gillingham performance, and for me that was perfect. We not pretty on the eye, dug in and got the result. I'll start with you, Luke, on this one. What were your thoughts on the game itself, and what were your thoughts on Crewe? Because they're always one of those League Two sides that don't ever get talked about that often, but they're always there or thereabouts regarding the playoffs, and they're always a really tough footballing side to beat. And I thought we did really, really well on Saturday.
I think the main difference from like Tuesday night to Saturday is that Chesterfield had a lot of the ball, but very, very sideways. They kind of get to the final third and then lose it. But Crewe, very direct, in behind, and very fast in transition from front to back. And I was quite impressed with them, to be fair. And I was kind of saying throughout the game, I'll take a 0-0 draw here. 4 points against Chesterfield and Crewe, I'll take that all day long. But again, I think Crewe always go about their business throughout the season quite quietly, quite under the radar. But as you rightly said, they're there or thereabouts. But I really enjoyed the game. Probably had a bit too many beers afterwards, celebrating an 88th minute when I was slightly intoxicated. No, it was a good game, and I did think we looked a little bit lethargic. So I think Tuesday did take a lot out of us, and playing Crewe again, as I said, the way they play, where we're constantly having on our backs, balls over behind. So I can't remember what their right wing was called, but I was really impressed with him. But yeah, I think Josh Andrews was blowing about 25 minutes, 30 minutes into the first half, because the intensity wasn't there. And I also agree with what Beck said. I think Johnny Williams had more of an impact on the game against Chesterfield than what Bradley Dack did against Crewe, and I think it didn't work quite as well as what Gareth would want it to. But like I said, we quite got the luxury of we've got really two good quality players. But I think Johnny Williams had more of an impact Tuesday night than Dack did. But overall, 6 points against two of the teams that all the bookies are tipping to be there or thereabouts. You can't argue with that at all.
And Bex, what were your thoughts on the game? And as Luke mentioned, Johnny Williams' impact. What did you make of the impact of all the subs that came on? Because the one thing I've started to notice is I still think the subs are quite predictable. You can kind of, who's going to come on for who. But for me, this season, again, it's only 6 games if you include a cup game. But for me, you're actually noticing the subs this time and noticing their impacts. Like, I think Sam Vokes was phenomenal when he came on, and I think he did a Bayo where he won a header and didn't have to jump. I don't know how they do that, but Bayo used to do it all the time, and he used to win headers and never used to jump. So what were your thoughts on the impact of all the substitutes and an overall of the game on Saturday?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with having predictable substitutes. I think the key is making the right substitutes, and I think we were all kind of feeling at half time that we needed to step it up a bit. And I think going back to what we were saying earlier about Gareth, we've got trust in him, and whatever he said to them at half time and the few little tweaks he made at half time were really effective, because we looked a different side second half. But I think we're making the right subs. And what I saw last season was substitutes were being brought on, and we were watching the players going off and who was coming on going, why are they making those changes? Yeah. Whereas this year we're like, right, okay, who's puffing? Who needs to come off? Yep, get him on. It might be predictable, but they work. It's not disrupting the flow of play. It's not slowing the game down. And I think that is what we need with the kind of gritty, scrappy football that we like to play. I think Vokes, excellent. Obviously set Gale up. He just looks to have really quick reflexes, and I think when he's had a bit more match time, we're going to see a really good player in him. I can't fault any player in that match, except for maybe Glenn giving us a mild heart attack when he missed that header. But no, apart from that, I thought I've got no issues with the subs. Work rate, brilliant, great result against, as Luke says, a really good team. Bring on Oldham.
And John, again, your thoughts on the overall game. And again, it's a topic we don't often talk about as a positive with the Gills. As you can see at the bottom there, 50% on possession against a footballing team. What does that say about how we can adapt as a team against clubs like Crewe that like having the ball, and we can match them with possession?
Yeah, I mean, that's good to see because, they are good on the ball, Crewe, and they get the ball out wide. As Luke said, the right winger, good player, and they were using the width well. They were having a lot of time on the ball. But we broke them down really well. Armani Little had a great game again, winning possession back in the midfield. He was everywhere again, a real leader. And it was a really, really enjoyable game, actually. Crewe tried a little bit of the physical stuff, I thought, in the first half, and we didn't let them get away with it. And I think that made a bit of a difference, whereas maybe last season we would have backed off a little bit. This time, Crewe tried a bit of physical stuff and we didn't back down in the face of it. We got stuck into them. And I think that made a difference. I think that dented their confidence because they knew we weren't going to be bullied out of the game. And with that, that's when you saw us come into the game more towards the end of the first half. We were having more of the ball. And then obviously in the second half when we were the better side. So, Crewe had the opening half hour, I'd say, all day long. We dominated the battle on the pitch and then we became the better side in the match.
And just one last thing on the Crewe game before we get on to our man of the matches. As we've got Bex on the show, we did have a female referee at the weekend. How did you think that she did? Do you think, obviously with the Gills recently, with what we get in trouble for, whether it's sexist comments, whether it's homophobic comments, did you hear anything that you didn't want to hear? And what was your overall thoughts of the referee at the weekend?
Well, I didn't hear anything, which is good. I was quite pleased to see a female ref. I think it makes a nice change. I think first half she did okay, to be fair. Second half there were a few slightly questionable decisions, but what I did hear around me is everyone saying, "Oh, well, at least it proves that all the League Two refs are poor." So, I've nothing wrong with a ref being criticised for making incorrect decisions. I don't think she's the worst ref we've had in recent times. It's nice to see. I can't really add any more, to be honest. I haven't seen too much on social media. The comments I have seen, most people seem to think she did an okay job.
Excellent. John, what were your thoughts?
Regardless of what genitals somebody possesses, it doesn't make them any less capable of doing a job, first of all. So, as Beck said, good to see a female referee with a female linesman before. And if they're, or lines person, whatever you want to call it, I'm not the best with the political.
Linesman's fine.
Assistant referee, there you go. But as long as someone's good enough for the job, then that's all you need. I really don't care who you are. If you're good enough for the job, then fine. I was a little bit critical of her because the decisions she got wrong were ones that were glaringly obvious. Armani Little, there was a diabolical challenge that went in on him. And another day, he would have been off on a stretcher. That was got away with. The foul on Lenny, which led to the open goal chance. Anyone could see that was a foul. And there are a couple of bookings that were given that were really soft bookings.
Yeah.
All game, Josh Andrews was basically being sexually assaulted virtually. And the one time that was given, where two of them were basically taking his shirt off the back, they played advantage in it, but there was no booking. You've got to be consistent. Now, that was the thing for me, the lack of consistency, and the errors that were there were glaring errors. But it is what it is. It's referees at this level, isn't it? And none of them want to be too controversial because they want to get their promotions and things like that. So, I don't know.
She definitely wasn't the worst referee that I've seen at Priestfield over the last couple of years, but I think it just shows that across the board, whether you're male or female, how bad the standard of officials we have in this country. But I like I say, what John said, she made a couple of glaring errors, couple of decisions that we got away with. I think on another day, another ref probably wouldn't have given our goal because he's got two hands on the ball, even though he flapped it.
I was convinced that was going to be disallowed.
Yeah, so was I. But like I said, she definitely wasn't the worst. She won't be the best, but good luck to her in her career because it must be hard for a female to, especially in the lower leagues, where you've got the fans are right on top of the pitch and they can probably hear everything. It can't be the best of jobs, but I think Rainy Menz was quietly well behaved for a change, which makes a difference. And good luck to her.
Excellent. We will move on to our player of the match.
Okay, if you'd have said at the start of the week we were coming home with all 6 points from the top 2 teams in the league, I would have laughed at you. But once again, the team has shown grit and determination, and they have got the job done. Tuesday night's game was a joy to watch. This wasn't quite as beautiful as the beautiful game on Tuesday, but we won. We got the 3 points. We hold our head up high, and quite frankly, up the gills.
How could I forget Phil's faults?
Well said, Phil. Well said.
Yeah, well said, Phil. What a guy. Yeah, so man of the match, we got a bit of variety. So I can see myself and Bex went for the same. So I'll start with Luke on this one. You've gone for Ethan Coleman.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts and reasons
You
behind that?
recognising there about the bandage around your head.
It's looking for a bald head and a bandage.
I think he's been phenomenal the last 2 games. He got a lot of pelters last season, and I think I threw a couple his way as well. And I think sometimes you forget and get a little bit involved. The moment he didn't have a pre-season, struggled to get back in his side with injuries. But the last 2, I think it's been quality, and I think he offers that. Again, he doesn't do much going forwards, and a lot of people call him the crab and everything else like that. But I think he's been brilliant, especially playing with the bandage around himself like Terry Butcher. I think he's been pivotal to helping the defence and doing his job brilliant. But like I say, I would have given it to him Tuesday, but I think Lenny should have got that one. But I think he deserved it because, again, he's just going about his business quietly. And I think he's going to have a really good season under Ainsworth. I really do.
And John, you went for the goal scorer. Thoughts behind your decision?
Yeah, I mean, the match itself, the Crewe game, it was like the boys were having a little private man of the match competition because there's so many people whose names you could have put forward aside from the 3 that we've got here. I mean, Andrews, he was a contender for man of the match with his work rate. Armani Little, he was a contender as well. So, but the reason I've gone for Sam was another very, very assured defensive performance. He reads the game so well for someone his age. There were 2 moments in the game which swung it for me because I was thinking Andy Smith potentially. Again, masterful in defence. There was the chance at the back stick where the ball could have just slipped in against our back stick that Smith cleared, that Sam Gale cleared, and then obviously popped up for the goal. So 2 crucial little moments there that topped off a good performance. And that's why I gave it to him.
And Bex, you went for Mr. 200th appearance. What were your reasons behind that?
Yeah, a bit like John, really. It could have gone to any number of them. I thought Smith was excellent again. Gale was great. Andrews was great. I just think with Mackenzie, he doesn't seem to have any regard for where he's been told to play. He's just like a one-man machine and he's all over the pitch. Oh, I'm going to run up and be a winger now. Oh, do you know what? I might just be a striker for 5 minutes. And yet he's always back to defend when he needs to be. And I think having that flexibility is so good because defenders don't know what to do. I mean, how do you mark someone who doesn't even know what position they're playing in themselves? And I just think every time you looked at the pitch, he was there, whichever part of the pitch you were looking at. And the effort was absolutely incredible. So, yeah, man of the match for me.
Yeah, I went for Robbie as well. And to be fair, a couple of seasons ago, I was not his biggest fan at all. I'm never normally a big fan of those players that don't hold a position. They're good enough to get in the team, but they're not good enough to get in a fixed position. He was right back, left back, central midfield, number 10 up front. And I think when he got released a few seasons ago, I was like, no, doesn't really matter. And then obviously he came back. But last season and this season, he for me, he's one of the first names I look for. And if he's not in the team now, I wouldn't panic, but I would worry because his positional play and just the way he reads the game. And again, he's not a tall guy as well. And to play centre of a 3 and very rarely loses a header. Good on both feet. And for me, he's an outstanding player. And I actually feel lucky that we've got him, considering where I was a couple of seasons ago with him. And I think he's a really, really good player. So we will move on to the next topic. The Views 6, which isn't a rip-off of a Sky Sports game. This is last week's fixtures where we took on James, and it was a low-scoring affair. So Bristol Rovers, Cambridge, we went for a draw. James went for a Cambridge win. Cheltenham Barnet both went for home wins. Colchester against Barrow, we went for a draw. James went for a Colchester win. Fleetwood Oldham, we went for a 2-0 win, and James went for a score draw. Both of us predicted a 1-1 draw for the Crewe game, and both of us predicted victories for Chesterfield, with James going for a high-scoring affair. And these were the scores. So Bristol Rovers beat Cambridge 1-0. Barnet won 1-0 at Cheltenham. A certain ex-Gills player scored a goal in that one. Barrow beat Colchester 2-0. Fleetwood drew 1-1 with Oldham. As we've discussed, Gillingham beat Crewe 1-0, and Chesterfield won 2-1 at Harrogate. So that leaves this week as we scored 2 points and James got 4. And overall, it didn't take us long, but we are now behind. So this week, Luke has the fun task of predicting 6 League 2 scores against us. And we are the first column. Luke is the second column. So Crewe versus Swindon, we have gone for a 2-1 win, and Luke's gone for a 1-1 draw. Bromley against Harrogate, we've gone for a 1-0 Bromley win. Luke's gone for a 2-1 win. Oldham Gillingham, we've gone for a score draw. Just so you know, guys, that is Warren predicting this week. So it's better than when he predicted us to lose. He's gone for a draw this time, where Luke is hanging on for the victories and going for a 1-0 victory for the Gills. We've both predicted 1-1 in the Tranmere Notts County game. Grimsby Bristol Rovers, we've both predicted a home win, and we've also both predicted a home win in the Milton Keynes Walsall game. Luke, of those, was it easy to predict? Were there any difficult ones?
I was very hungover.
And we always add Gills in because it's difficult to predict your own team, and we're going to keep adding the Gills in because it's never fun going against your own team.
No, I was very hungover when I did this as well, so it'll either be extremely right or completely off of the mark. So we'll wait to see that one. But yeah, going into the Gills Oldham game, I think this is where we've always been relatively good against the big teams at home. If you look at last season, just like last couple of games, like Wimbledon at home 1-0. We always kind of played with MK Dons, Walsall. It's when we go away to the lower league position sides is where we struggle. So I think even though the last week have been a really, really tough test, I think the next 2 weeks are where we're going to see how far we've actually come, because this is where we normally struggle.
Okay, and we will look ahead to this week's game where we take on. That's all right, mate. As we look ahead to this week's fixture against the ex-Premier League side, Oldham Athletic, and I'll go round to you guys again on this, because when you look at Oldham's last 5 fixtures, 2 draws, a loss, 2 draws, it would be very Gills to lose this fixture based on those stats. We're always the team that used to give victories to the teams that couldn't get victories. I'll start with you, Bex. I don't know if you're going to the game.
I'm undecided. I might go last minute. Can't really afford to go, but I always seem to end up going to these things right at the day.
What would you take as an acceptable result of the weekend? Obviously, after back-to-back home games, and do you think Gareth will go unchanged, or do you think he does seem to like to make a couple of changes every game? Or
I think he'll probably chuck in a couple of changes, but I think he'll keep it mostly as is. I mean, I agree with what Luke was saying about our tendency to not play as well against lower teams. But I do think Gareth is going to be very aware of that. You know, he's been Mr. Nice and given them the day off today, but he will be watching Oldham and he will be trying to find a way to get round that. I feel quite optimistic about the game, mainly because they don't score many goals. It's kind of very Gillsy of them, to be honest. I think they've only been having a couple of shots each game, which, given that our defence has been fairly strong, bodes quite well as long as we can put our chances away. So I like to think we'll take a win away. Whether I will be there in person to see it or not, I don't know. I hope Gareth doesn't change the team too much because, you don't want to mess with something that seems to be working. But yeah, it would be very Gillsy of us to have a bit of a mare.
And John, same question to you. What are your thoughts looking ahead to the game? And do you think this might be the time again, an away fixture where you might just want to shore it up and we see Max Clark come back in at fullback just to add that little bit of security? Or like Bexley said, do you think there'll be minimal changes?
I think we've got a miserly defence. We are very strong at the back. I don't think there's necessarily a need to bring Max Clark back in at left back because Oldham aren't renowned for their goal scoring prowess, as Bex has mentioned. With that in mind, I think we probably will go there and get a win. We're not going to be that team now who go and sort of give someone a lifeline after a bad run of results. You can see on the pitch that they play until the final whistle. These boys, they just don't want to lose football matches. And we're on this unbeaten run, and that determination just to not lose and to push till the end, I think that makes a difference on these tough away games now. And I think a 1-0 win, maybe a 2-0 win, that's what I'm expecting.
And Luke, obviously we saw that you predicted a 1-0 Gills win. How do you think we're going to come about that? Do you think it's going to be a beautiful game, or do you think it's going to be a very Gillsy game where it's not always pretty on the eye, but again, a victory hopefully for the Gills?
I don't think we're going to see anything beautiful all season, if we're going to be honest. I think that's not in Ainsworth style, is it really? We're very direct, obviously, with how Josh Andrews is playing now. And I would just, like I said earlier, we haven't been carved open by anyone yet. And I slightly get a bit worried, like last season when we played like Accrington Stanley and Grimsby at home, when we got absolute, was it 3-0 and 2-0 that we lost? And we just got they just cut through us. I can't see that happening this season, especially at home. But I think it'll just be a 1-0 win, probably 2 shots on target for us, 1 goal. Whether that's in the 88th minute again, be good for the away fans travelling to that. But I'll take a point any day on the road nowadays because I think just how good we are at home. If we could just keep this unbeaten going, it'd be nice to get to 20 games, wouldn't it? 20 games unbeaten would be a bit of a feat for the club. And to do that, that'd be the next home game would be the 20th game as well. Thinking, but I just have this awful feeling that we're going to go to we'll get results Saturday and we'll lose to Bromley away. I think it's written in SARS, but just be to them. But no, like I say, we haven't card open. We're not playing pretty football, but we're fighting to the end. And in League Two, that's all that matters, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I've got a feeling this one will be a draw.
Probably be a 0-0.
Yeah, I think Johnny Williams will come in for Dak. It feels like they're alternating. I don't know if that's a deliberate ploy. They're doing one game at a time. I think at some point, Vokes will start a game. And I think looking at I can't imagine at any point, unless we're really desperate, you're going to see Vokes and Andrews on the pitch together.
Yeah,
that often. So I always thought it'd be Nevitt and Vokes, but I like you said, I can't see at the moment. We've waited this long for Andrews to be fit. Still hasn't got the goals that we want him for, but yeah, like the effort and he's just such a strong guy that he takes defenders' attention, and hopefully that will then give some chances to some other players to score goals. And obviously we've still got Rowe to eventually somehow get in this team, which I don't know how that's going to happen unless they put him in a 10 because I can't see we're going to play wingers this season, and I don't really like when they bring him on at wing back. I feel like if you've got a fullback, they bring a fullback on. I don't like this player's out of position. We've done it for years, and yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. But yeah, fingers crossed we can stay undefeated, hopefully sneak a victory. But yeah, after those 2 home games, I would more than happily take a point at the weekend.
I'm really excited to see Seb Palmer, Holden, and Andrews because I think Seb would offer us a lot more than what Nev will, and he's not exactly a small lad, Seb either. So there'll be 2 big forward. However, Seb's got bags and bags of pace, and I think he reads the game really well from what I saw in pre-season. So we've got a lot to be excited to, especially with the injured players coming back. But I don't know if we'd go back into the transfer market, but let's wait to see.
I think if we're playing Seb and Josh, you definitely want Lenny on the wing because his crosses are top notch.
Yeah. I think he offers us so much more than what Max, and no disrespect to Max, I don't really rate him, but he offers us so much more going forwards than what Max does. And I think in a side that lacks creativity, I think you need Lenny on the left-hand side.
We will have to wait and see, I suppose. We will move on. So this is everything that we're on. So if you don't like, follow, share any of these, please do. Obviously, we're on Facebook at The View from the Medway. We're on YouTube at The View from the Medway Fancast, and we're on X at The View from the Medway Fancast or at TVFTM. And before we say goodbye, obviously, as I mentioned at the start, there is 1 week to go of the transfer window. Bex, do you see any more activity happening, or would you like to see any more happening?
I know that Gareth has said he wants at least one more in. I actually don't really want to mess with the on-pitch too much unless it's to get some creative pace in there. I do still think we need a keeper. I think we do need a keeper.
Okay. And Luke, same question to you. Do you see anyone? Is there any names that you would like to see potentially come here, or is there any names that you would like to see leave the club before the window closes?
You need to sort the Jack Nolan thing out, because that's an expensive mistake. Did hear along the lines that he was training with Accrington, but I think that's gone a bit quiet. That situation needs to be sorted out. Obviously, we slimmed down the squad a little bit with the loans out of the younger players, but again, it's still in the main stake. So I would like to see us sign like a Lenny Sereno on the right hand side, a young unearthed gem, because I do like it. It's obviously worked quite well with Lenny, but even if it was someone on loan that can play right wing or right wing back, more of a right wing back, just for cover for Hutton, because I think if we lose him, I think the only person who maybe put there could be Gabode or Rowe, but obviously defensively he's not going to be as strong. So I wouldn't mind seeing someone down that right. But again, I think if there's someone that can help with the creativity, which is mad when you think we've got Bradley Dack and Johnny Williams, but I think we need another creative spark in midfield that's gonna really help us in there. But I hope we do a bit of business. But I think the main thing would be to get Jack either out on loan, covering some of it, because he's got to be on good money to kind of recoup some of that back would be. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
And John, will Phil be busy on deadline day?
Orange card.
I think if Gareth has identified players that he wants, I think it's pretty certain that Red, Shannon, and obviously Joe will be doing their best to make it happen, because they've got trust in the manager. They like what he's doing. They've made no secret of the fact they're going to back him. They will have had these conversations already. So if there are targets out there lined up, we will be doing what we can to get them in. I'm absolutely sure of it. But who knows? Who knows? I don't know any more than you guys do.
Yeah,
I think the start we've had as well is that I wouldn't like to see us just rest on our laurels. I'd like to see us have one new face in for sure. I don't think we need it in the defensive ways, but I think it's more in the attacking areas. But I would like to see us not just rest on our laurels because we've had a really good start and then not bring anyone else in.
Yeah, I think the ones to keep an eye on, obviously, is Nolan and Bode. I think they're probably going to be the only two that I can think of that will potentially leave. And obviously, if they do let Bode go, I'd like to think they won't do it on deadline day, and they give themselves enough time to find a replacement. And Nolan is, I think the less said about him, the better now, because it's not worked. The fact that he can't even get on the bench now. It goes to show that his Gillingham career is probably over, and I think it's going to be best for both parties that is fixed. If it is fixed, possible, because I would think he's probably still got another year next year potentially on contract, so it's not going to be easy to shift.
I think one to look out for would be how fit Seb Palmer-Holden is if Marcus Wiley goes out on loan on like a short deal, like a 3 month till Christmas, January time. Because I don't think he'll get in if Seb's fit, because he obviously normally comes on to replace Wiley at the minute, doesn't he? Coming to replace Nevitt.
Yeah.
So that'd be an interesting one as well.
That is a good shout. But yeah, that I think is everything, guys. As I said, thank you everyone for listening. I've been Dave. They've been Luke, Bex, and John. We are The View from the Medway, and we will see you next Monday at 8 p.m. Up the Jewels.